Have you ever noticed how you can go through an entire month without buying anything outrageous, and somehow your bank account still looks like it got mugged in an alley? You paid your rent on time, you grabbed groceries, maybe you ordered takeout a few more times than you planned, but nothing crazy. Yet, when you sit down and look at what is left over, the numbers never add up the way they should. And here's the part nobody talks about. The problem is not your income. The problem is not your bills. The problem is not that you need a second job, a raise, or a miracle. The real problem is your autopilot, the financial habits you perform without thinking. The little routines that feel normal because everyone around you does them too. The daily decisions so automatic that you do not even realize they are decisions. Look, people love to blame the big stuff. Rent is too high, food is too expensive, gas prices are ridiculous, and sure, all of that is true, but the reason you stay stuck is not the top of your budget, it is the bottom. The unconscious stuff. You are not being sabotaged by a dramatic financial event. You are being quietly drained by the same tiny patterns every single day. And until you confront the autopilot running your life, you will keep wondering why it feels like you are working hard and still getting nowhere. This is where it gets interesting, so stay with me. Because once you understand how your autopilot works, you finally get to shut off the part of your brain that has been making you broke without you even realizing it. My name is Michael, and I help people understand money the way school never did. Not with complicated charts or guru nonsense, but with the simple truth about why your finances feel stuck and how to finally take control without becoming some spreadsheet-obsessed robot. The first point is this: your brain loves routines, even when those routines are terrible for you. It is not because you are lazy or irresponsible or bad with money. It is because your brain is obsessed with efficiency. It wants to conserve energy, so it locks into patterns that feel safe and predictable, even when those patterns quietly bleed your wallet dry. Your brain does not care about your financial goals. It cares about comfort, familiarity, and doing things the easiest way possible. And the easiest way possible is always whatever you did yesterday. Real life example. Think about your mornings. You wake up, grab your phone, scroll half awake, then grab coffee from the same place you always do, even if it costs $6 for something you could make at home for 50 cents. And you do not even think about it. You are not weighing options or considering alternatives. Your autopilot is just running the script. This is what we do in the morning. This is our routine. No analysis required. You could switch to making your own coffee tomorrow, but your brain does not want to write a new script. It wants to follow the old one because it feels easy, even when it is expensive. Emotional consequence. You do this so automatically that you do not even register it as spending. You do not feel the loss. You do not feel the drain. It is disguised as normal life. And when something feels normal long enough, your brain stops questioning it, even when it is the reason your bank account keeps gasping for air. Short punchline. Routine does not feel expensive until you add it up. The second point is that convenience is the most expensive habit you have. And the tricky part is you never notice it in the moment because convenience feels harmless. It feels like relief. It feels like buying back a little bit of time, a little bit of comfort, a little bit of sanity, but that feeling comes with a price tag your brain pretends not to see. Real life example, DoorDash. You already know, it is not the food you are paying for. It is not even the delivery. It is the autopilot impulse that says, I am tired, I deserve this, and it will not matter. You tap your phone 3 times and boom, $35 disappears because the idea of chopping vegetables felt like emotional labor. And your brain will always choose the path with the least friction, even if the financial cost is ridiculous. And then you check your bank account and start acting like someone else placed the order. You convince yourself it was a one-time thing, even though you did it 3 times this week. Convenience lets you dodge the discomfort now, but forces you to pay for it later. The third point is, your brain is wired to prioritize now over later. This is not a moral failing, this is biology. Your mind is built to chase short-term comfort because short-term comfort kept humans alive for thousands of years. Delayed gratification is a modern invention, and your brain honestly wants nothing to do with it. When money hits your account, your nervous system relaxes. You feel safe again. And the moment you feel safe, your brain switches into reward mode because it assumes the danger has passed and now it is time to enjoy. Real life example. You get paid, you feel relief, you feel safe, and that safety triggers spending because your autopilot associates money with freedom and reward. It is the same cycle every 2 weeks. You promise yourself you will save more this time, and then the minute that paycheck lands, you suddenly want nice meals, small treats, little upgrades, because your brain thinks spending equals celebrating survival. And honestly, it is hard to argue with that feeling in the moment. Emotional consequence. You end up rewarding yourself now at the expense of your future self, who will eventually open your bank app and wonder why you keep doing this. Your present self gets the dopamine, your future self gets the bill, and future you is tired of cleaning up the mess. The fourth point is that you underestimate the cost of small decisions and overestimate the impact of big ones. Your brain loves drama. It wants one big villain it can point to so you feel justified in saying, "This is why my finances suck." It is way more satisfying to blame the car, the rent, the bills, the economy, anything big and obvious. But the truth is way less cinematic. Most people are not being financially crushed by one massive expense. They are being drained slowly, invisibly, by a swarm of tiny habits they never question. Real-life example. You think buying a car is the reason you are broke. Meanwhile, your 20 tiny daily purchases have quietly added up to more than your car payment. The snacks, the quick meals, the coffees, the parking fees, the impulse Amazon buys you forgot about 2 hours later, none of these feel like real spending, so your brain discounts them as harmless. But harmless things become catastrophic when they repeat every single day. Emotional consequence. You fixate on the wrong villain and never fix the real leak. You blame the storm while ignoring the rain dripping through your ceiling one drop at a time. The fifth point is that lifestyle drift happens without permission. You do not wake up one day and consciously decide to live more expensively. It just kind of happens. Your brain treats every financial upgrade like a reward for surviving adulthood. You work hard. You deal with stress. You push through burnout. So when a little extra money shows up, your autopilot quietly whispers, "Finally, we can relax a bit." And without even realizing it, you adjust every part of your life upward by one small notch. One nicer dinner here, one upgraded purchase there, one new subscription because it makes life easier. Real life example, you get a raise. Suddenly you are eating out more, upgrading small luxuries, subscribing to shiny new things because your autopilot thinks higher income equals higher comfort. It is not a decision, it is a drift. A gradual slide upward into a life that costs more simply because you can technically afford it today. Emotional consequence. But then your lifestyle inflates faster than your paycheck and you feel just as broke as before. The relief you imagined never arrives because every bit of extra income already got assigned to new habits before you even noticed. The sixth point is that your environment reinforces your worst financial habits. We like to pretend we are independent thinkers, but humans are wired to mirror the people around them. If your social circle treats spending like a sport, your autopilot will start acting like that is normal behavior. You are not consciously deciding to spend more. You are subconsciously matching the energy in the room. Real-life example. You hang out with friends who always want to go out, always want to spend, always normalize burning money on experiences you cannot afford. They say things like, "You only live once," and "treat yourself" because it feels fun in the moment. And you follow along, not because you want to, but because everyone else is doing it. Emotional consequence. Your autopilot is trained to match the spending patterns of the people around you because humans hate being the odd one out. Even your budget bows to social pressure. The seventh point is that subscriptions are the sneakiest autopilot trap of all. They are designed to slip under your financial radar. No pain, no friction, no moment where you actually feel the cost. Just a quiet little charge that pops up once a month like a polite thief. And because each subscription feels tiny on its own, your brain files them under the category of not a big deal, which is exactly how companies want you to think. Real life example. You sign up for one app, then another, thinking each one is only $10. $10 is nothing compared to your actual bills. So your autopilot gives it a free pass. Before you know it, you have subscriptions for music, movies, fitness, cloud storage, newsletters, random productivity tools, and 3 apps you forgot existed. None of them feel expensive individually, which is why they can get away with multiplying quietly. Emotional consequence. Then one day you realize you are spending $100 every month on things you barely use and do not even notice because they recharge silently in the background. It feels like your money is disappearing into thin air, but really, your autopilot has been approving charges you stopped paying attention to. The eighth point is that discomfort makes you spend more than you realize. Your brain is not just trying to survive the world outside you, it is also trying to survive your own emotions. And the easiest way to quiet an uncomfortable feeling is to buy something that distracts you. Spending becomes a coping mechanism long before you consciously recognize it. Stress, boredom, loneliness, frustration, overwhelm, every one of these emotions pushes your autopilot toward the quickest relief available. And unfortunately, that relief almost always costs money. Real-life example. You have a stressful day. You buy takeout. You have a lonely weekend. You go shopping. You feel bored. You order something random online because why not? None of these purchases are about the thing you bought. They are about the momentary emotional anesthesia your brain is begging for. Every swipe of the card is just a shortcut to feeling better for 10 minutes. Emotional consequence. Emotional spending is the autopilot your brain uses to comfort you, and it is incredibly effective at destroying your budget. You soothe yourself in the moment and sabotage yourself long-term, creating a cycle that becomes automatic and invisible. The ninth point is that your default assumptions about money are outdated, and it is not your fault. You were taught a version of financial safety that made sense decades ago but makes zero sense today. Back then, saving money literally meant stacking cash somewhere safe. A savings account felt like progress. It felt responsible. It felt mature. But the world changed. Prices rose. Inflation accelerated. Interest rates stayed embarrassingly low. Yet your autopilot is still operating with the rules from a completely different economy. Real-life example. Your autopilot still thinks saving money means parking it in a basic checking account. Meanwhile, inflation is quietly eating away at it. Your cash is losing value every month, and you do not notice it because there is no alert that says, "Hey, your money is shrinking while you sleep." Instead, you feel responsible because the number looks stable. You see the balance and assume you are doing the smart thing. Emotional consequence. You feel responsible, but your money is shrinking. You think you are being cautious, but you are actually falling behind. And the worst part is, you do not even realize it because your autopilot is using outdated instructions. The 10th point is that your brain hates friction, so it avoids better financial decisions. Real-life example. You know you should cook at home, invest consistently, track your spending, build an emergency fund. All of that requires effort. Emotional consequence. So your autopilot picks the easiest option, even if it is the most expensive. Here is where it gets crazy. Once you recognize your autopilot is the real enemy, you realize you never had a money problem. You had a pattern problem. And patterns can be rewritten. Let us shift into the part nobody talks about. How do you fix your autopilot without becoming a financial monk who hates life? First, you have to create friction where your worst habits live. If grabbing fast food is too easy, make it slightly inconvenient. Put your keys somewhere that forces you to stop and ask if you are really hungry or just emotionally exhausted. If your subscriptions are out of control, cancel everything and only resubscribe when you consciously feel the need. If you shop online when you are bored, delete the apps and force yourself to use the desktop versions so there is more time between impulse and purchase. And stay with me here because this matters. You are not trying to become disciplined. You are trying to make your bad decisions annoying so your brain stops choosing them automatically. Second, automate the good stuff so it happens without thinking. Set your investments to auto-draft. Set your savings to auto-draft. Set your bills to auto-pay so you do not accidentally sabotage yourself. Remove the thinking from the things that help you and add thinking to the things that hurt you. That alone will change your entire financial life. Third, build a decision rule that your autopilot can easily understand. For example, no purchases over $50 without waiting 24 hours. No eating out twice in the same day. No subscriptions without a clear monthly use case. Your autopilot loves rules as long as they are simple. Fourth, treat your money like a system, not a mystery. Track your spending for 1 month, just one, and watch how quickly the truth smacks you in the face. You will discover patterns you did not know you had. You will see that your problem was never that you were irresponsible, it was that you were unconscious. Fifth, reward yourself in intentional ways. Look, you are not supposed to hate your life. You are supposed to enjoy it without destroying your future. When you plan your spending, you can enjoy it guilt-free. When you let your autopilot control it, everything becomes financial chaos disguised as normal behavior. Sixth, create environmental boundaries. If your friends have expensive habits, see them but do not adopt their spending. Suggest cheaper plans. Bring the conversation back to what actually fits your life. Your bank account does not need to match your social circle's expectations. 7th, remove shame from the equation. Shame does not fix financial habits. Awareness does. Once you stop feeling embarrassed about your past decisions, you can actually build sustainable systems. So here is the shift. You do not need to earn double your income. You do not need a magical budget app. You do not need to become a completely different person. You just need to stop running your financial life on autopilot, because your autopilot was not designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you comfortable, distracted, and stuck. When you become consciously aware of your patterns, everything changes. When you introduce just a little bit of friction into your worst habits, everything slows down. When you automate the good decisions, everything speeds up. And when you finally take control of your autopilot, your money starts doing what it was always supposed to do. Reduce stress, increase freedom, and give you options. Not headaches, not anxiety, not confusion. You do not need to look rich. You need to stop being stressed.